Thank you very much, Brother Gibbons Jones, for that beautiful prayer. Certainly, our life depends on God's word, the Bible. We need Jehovah in our lives now more than we have ever done. And we are faced with so many situations, so many problems in the world today that will call for our being very courageous. How may we succeed in being courageous? We want to look forward to that. In our Bible reading this week, we will see how Rahab misled the men who were spies from Israel. Why did she do that? And what lessons can we learn from that? We will also enjoy a video, a governing body update. And in our congregation Bible study, we will come to realize something that is very important in our life. Why Jehovah alone sets the standards for pure worship. Now, I would like to begin our meeting by asking Brother Michael Gibbons Jones to handle the first part, how to make your way successful.
So how do we make our way successful? Well, meditation and study plays an important role, but godly courage is also extremely important, especially in the time we're living in. At Joshua chapter 1 and verse 9, he mentions that we need to be courageous and strong, and that Jehovah our God is with us. Notice the importance of godly courage in the two images from our meeting workbook this week. In the first image, we're seeing godly courage in action as a brother courageously preaches, perhaps to even maybe a superior at work, a professional by the looks of it. He's using courage to make a witness. And in the second image, we see godly courage in action as somebody withstands the heat of persecution and makes his way successful in that way. So the question is for each of us to ask over the coming days, in what situations do I personally need courage? And that's a very good question to consider. Godly courage also plays a central role in the book of Joshua, and we're excited to start our study of the book of Joshua from this week on. And to whet our appetite, there's been a video prepared for us, so we're going to look at this video together and see what we can expect to learn from the book of Joshua.
An introduction to the book of Joshua. The book of Joshua is named after its writer, Joshua the son of Nun, who succeeded Moses as leader of Israel. The book likely covers a period of more than 20 years, starting in 1473 BCE and ending in about 1450 BCE when the book was completed. The book of Joshua can be divided into 4 sections: Israel's entry into Canaan, the conquest of the land, the apportioning of it to the individual tribes, and Joshua's final exhortations. The book provides valuable lessons on the need for courage, faith, and obedience, especially when God's people face strong enemies. In chapters 1 and 2, Jehovah tells Joshua to be courageous and strong. The Israelites prepare to cross the Jordan River, and Joshua sends out 2 spies who go to Jericho. The spies go to the home of Rahab, a prostitute. Moved by faith in Jehovah, she hides the spies, thereby disobeying the order of the king. In chapters 3 to 6, Israel miraculously crosses the Jordan River on dry ground, even though the river is at flood stage. The Israelites observe the Passover and begin to eat the produce of the land. Joshua then meets a man with a drawn sword. The man is the prince of Jehovah's army. Through him, Jehovah tells Joshua how to conquer Jericho. Chapters 6 to 12 describe the conquest of the Promised Land. In chapter 6, Jericho falls. Only Rahab and her father's household are spared. In chapter 7, Achan is exposed for disobediently taking spoil from Jericho. He is put to death along with his family, who no doubt helped to conceal his sin. Did you know? Rahab and Achan provide contrasting lessons in faith and obedience. Though a Canaanite, Rahab was saved because she obeyed the spies and showed courageous faith in Jehovah. Although Achan was a member of God's dedicated nation and witnessed Jehovah bringing down the walls of Jericho, he was put to death because of his disobedience, lack of faith, and greed. In chapter 8, Ai is conquered and reduced to a permanent mound of ruins. Joshua then reads God's law to the people. Half of the nation stands in front of Mount Gerizim, and the other half in front of Mount Ebal. In chapter 9, the Gibeonites trick Joshua into making a covenant with them, and he spares their lives. Chapters 10 to 12 contain a record of some of Israel's God-given victories. God even hurls great hailstones at the Amorites and makes the sun stand still so that Israel can take vengeance on its enemies. In chapters 13 to 22, the Promised Land is apportioned among the tribes of Israel. The tabernacle is set up at Shiloh, and the Israelites select 6 cities of refuge for the unintentional manslayer. In chapter 22, the tribes of Reuben and Gad and the half-tribe of Manasseh go to their inheritance east of the Jordan. Chapters 23 and 24 contain Joshua's farewell speeches. He tells the people to fear Jehovah and serve him with integrity and faithfulness. Joshua, as well as Aaron's son Eleazar, then die. Also, the Israelites fulfill their sworn oath to bury the bones of Jacob's son Joseph in the Promised Land. As you read the book of Joshua, note how Jehovah blesses faithful and obedient ones. See how he fights for his people, and observe how he fulfills all his promises, thus strengthening our faith in our future inheritance under his glorious kingdom.
No doubt we're all looking very much forward to this action-packed account as it strengthens our faith, our godly courage, and we can make our way successful as a result.
Thank you very much, Brother Gibbons-Jones, for that beautiful part. Thank you for highlighting those things that can give us godly courage. We always enjoy spiritual gems. And this evening, we would like to invite Brother Oluwaseun Ogunade. Please give us some gems.
When you hear the word or the name Rahab, what comes to your mind? The before or the after? Please, let's read what we have in the book of Joshua chapter 2 verses 4 and 5 and learn a lesson from Rahab. Again, Joshua chapter 2 verses 4 and 5. It reads, "But the woman took the 2 men and hid them. Then she said, 'Yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. And at dark, when the city gate was about to be closed, the men went out. I do not know where the men went, but if you quickly chase after them, you will catch up with them.'" What a courage from Rahab. Now the question is this: why did Rahab mislead the king's men who were searching for the spies? The answer: faith. In who? In Jehovah. So Rahab had courageous faith in Jehovah. She had learned so many things about Jehovah. She has learned many dealings Jehovah had with the nation of Israel. Hence, she could hid these spies. And what blessings came out from what Rahab did? 1, she saved herself as well as her family members, as she was directed by the spies to do. And secondly, It puts Rahab in line for royal ancestry of the Davidic kings. And you know what? Lastly, this made Rahab to be one of the 4 women named in Matthew's genealogy of Jesus. No doubt we learned from Rahab. Now, what lessons do we learn? Very soon, who knows? Secular authorities may ask us to name or divulge information about our Christian brothers and sisters. The question is, will you? Will you mention their names? It's a food for thought. Now, let's ask you, dear brothers and sisters, no doubt we know you must have prepared for this part. What spiritual gems have we learned that will help us, that will learn about Jehovah, the field ministry, or something else? Let's start with Sister Pauline Gibbons-Jones.
One point that I liked was that Rahab might have seemed like an insignificant Canaanite woman who probably practiced idol worship for most of her life, but even so, Jehovah saw her heart and her faith and took care of her. So what I learned from that is that even though we may seem isolated at times, especially during these difficult times, it's a good reminder to know that none of us are insignificant to Jehovah. He sees us, especially when we're trying to serve him faithfully, and he'll always take care of us.
Thank you, Sister Gibbons-Jones. And Sister Rebecca Carrizo.
And I liked Joshua 1:18. This is when the Reubenites, Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh told Joshua to be courageous and strong. So this is a good example for me to pray for the brothers that are taking the lead in the organization, like the governing body, branch committees, so that they be courageous and strong when making decisions for the organization. And I can also help the elders in my own congregation to be courageous and strong when I'm obedient to their direction.
Excellent point, Sister Carrizo. And let's hear from Brother Waro Banowe.
In Joshua chapter 1 verse 8, I learned that if I want to be successful in life, I want to try as much as possible to read God's word in an undertone, day and night, because for the Israelites to be successful in their time, Jehovah commanded them to always read God's word. So should I do today too?
Nice point too, Brother Waro. We all did very well, and please, we encourage us to keep on reading our Bible.
Thank you very much, Brother Okwade, for that beautiful part, and we thank all of you in the audience for participating. Thank you so much, brothers. Now it is time for us to enjoy our Bible reading for this week, and it's going to be handled by Brother Waro Banowe. He's going to read from Joshua chapter 2, verses 1 to 16. Would like to follow along in our Bible.
Then Joshua the son of Nun secretly sent 2 men out from Shittim as spies. He told them, "Go and spy the land, especially Jericho." So they went and came to the house of a prostitute named Rahab, and they stayed there. The king of Jericho was told, "Look, Israelite men have come in here tonight to spy out the land." At that, the king of Jericho sent words to Rahab, "Bring out the men who came and are staying in your house, for they have come to spy out the entire land." But the woman took the 2 men and hid them. Then she said, "Yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. And at dark, when the city gate was about to be closed, the men went out. I did not know where the men went, but if you quickly chase after them, you will catch up with them." However, she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them among stalks of flax laid in rows on the roof. So the men chased after them in the direction of Jordan at the fords, and the city gate was shut once the pursuer had gone out. Before the men lay down to sleep, she came up to them on the roof. She said to the men, "I do know that Jehovah will give you the land, and that the fear of you has fallen upon us. All the inhabitants of the land are disheartened because of you. For we heard how Jehovah dried up the waters of the Red Sea before you, when you left Egypt, and what you did to the 2 kings of the Amorites, Sihon and Og, whom you devoted to destruction on the other side of the Jordan. When we heard about it, we lost heart, and no one has any courage because of you. For Jehovah your God is God in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. Now, please, swore to me by Jehovah that because I showed loyal love to you, you will also show loyal love to my father's household, and you must give me a sign of good faith. You must spare the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belongs to them, and you must save us from death." At that, the men said to her, "We will give our lives for yours. If you do not tell about our mission, then we will show loyal love and faithfulness towards you when Jehovah give us the land." After that, she led them by a rope through the window, for our house was on the side of the city wall. In fact, she was dwelling on the wall. Then she said to them, "Go to the mountainous region and hide there for 3 days, so that those pursuing you may not find you. Then, after your pursuer have come back, you can go on your way."
Thank you very much, Brother Obanowe, for that lively, enthusiastic reading. We enjoy the life you put into that reading. This is beautiful. You know, when we can read the Bible in such a lively way, we can make an impact in the minds of those who listen to us. So we thank you very much. We are watching you on modulation. And we know what that means. That it means you have to raise your voice in certain places. You have to lower your voice in certain other places. And you did very well. Actually, you did that, because when I was watching you, especially when you were reading about what the spies were saying to Rahab, you raised your voice to show that there was a difference. Why do we do this? It is because we want to convey ideas clearly and motivate our listeners to action. So we thank you very much for the fine effort. Now, that's not the end for our meeting today. I just want to thank all of you who have had a part. Thank you so much. Would like to move into the next part of our meeting. Apply yourself to the field ministry. We enjoy this part a lot. But to start, would like to watch a video.
Hi Mia, it's nice to see you again. As I mentioned last week, I'm Kiara and this is Anna. The last time we spoke, I left you with the question, why can we trust the Bible?
Right, I remember.
If the Bible is trustworthy, then it should be in harmony with established scientific facts, right?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
If you have just a minute, I'd like to show you a brief video that illustrates the Bible's scientific accuracy. It's called "The Earth Hangs Upon Nothing."
Okay.
During the time when the Bible was written, many people had mistaken ideas about the shape of the earth. A theory written after the Bible was completed was that the universe emerged from a cosmic egg and that the earth is supported by various creatures. In contrast, about the year 1473 BCE, Moses wrote that the earth is suspended upon nothing. And around the year 732 BCE, the prophet Isaiah wrote that the earth is a circle or sphere. These Bible writers contradicted ideas that were popular at the time. It was some 200 years after Isaiah's day that the Greek philosopher Pythagoras may have proposed that the earth is a sphere. And more than 3,000 years passed from Moses' writing until scientists such as Isaac Newton realized that the earth seemed to hang upon nothing.
Now, keeping those points in mind, let's read what the Bible said some 3,500 years ago. Anna, would you please read for us Job chapter 26, verse 7?
Now, how might you use point from the video to introduce Job 26, 7? This is a question I would like us to think about. How might you use point from the video to introduce Job 26, 7? Yes, Brother Okwade.
We can mention how it all started, what Job said, what Prophet Isaiah said, Moses said in the book of Job, and also this Isaac Newton, what he said also, and all of these can help the person know that the earth is spherical.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's really good. Thank you. All right, we'll continue with the video.
It says, "He stretches out the northern sky over empty space, suspending the earth upon nothing."
Thank you so much. Based off of what we learned in the video, why do you think it's surprising that the Bible said the earth is suspended upon nothing?
Well, people didn't believe that at the time.
Exactly. That point always amazes me. So, if we can trust the Bible in scientific matters, in what other areas is the Bible trustworthy?
Now, how would you offer the Enjoy Life Forever brochure at this point? Yes, Sister Okwandi?
I can introduce to this House Order Lesson 3 of the Enjoy Life brochure, the part 4, which talks about science if it agrees with the Bible.
Exactly. That's beautiful. That's really nice. Thank you so much. But I have another question here. How will the person benefit by downloading an electronic copy of the brochure? How do you think one can benefit? Yes, my brother.
We will send the link to the person.
Thank you. And how will the person benefit by using the electronic copy? How do you think it will be beneficial? Yes, Sister Carizo?
Then the person can easily watch the videos or read the information right there.
Exactly. That is it. Thank you. Okay, we would like to continue with the video.
The video we showed you is part of a free Bible study course with the use of this brochure. If you'll read it, I'd be happy to leave it with you. And next time, we'll discuss some of the questions that the Bible answers. They can be found in Lesson 1.
Okay, sure. Sounds interesting.
Thank you so much. That's a very nice video that can help us in the use of the new brochure that Jehovah is giving us in the ministry. But now I would like to watch an assignment that is going to be handled by Sister Hannah Opara and Sister Pauline Gibbons-Jones. Return visit.
Hello, good afternoon, Pauline. This is Hannah, your witness friend.
Oh, hello, Hannah. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm doing fine. And how is everybody in the family?
Yeah, we're doing okay.
I'm happy to hear that. Pauline, I enjoyed the discussion last week.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I really enjoyed it too. Thank you so much. You really helped me see how I can find practical advice from the Bible. You know what? But I've been thinking about that question that you asked me. Why can I trust the Bible? So straight away, I borrowed a Bible from a co-worker, and I really want to start reading it.
That's good, Pauline. Yes, I called to answer that question.
Okay, you know what? It'd be really good if you could just give me a reason why I can even trust this book.
You know, we can trust the Bible because the Bible is always true. What do I mean? Well, I would like to show you something. Please, is the Bible you borrow handy?
Yeah, I have it here, but it actually says New World Translation.
It's okay, that's the type I have too. Please, can you open to the middle of the Bible?
Okay.
You will see Psalms. Now gradually go back. You will look for page 727. You will see 26. That is Job chapter 26. Now gradually move down to verse 7. Please, can you read?
Okay, so that's Job, and then I guess that's big number 26.
Yeah.
And the little number is 7.
Yes,
it says, he stretches out the northern sky over empty space, suspending the earth upon nothing.
Thank you for the reading. Please, what do you understand from what you read now?
Well, this is interesting because it says that our earth is suspended in space. You know, I really love this because this is what I was taught at school.
You know, Pauline, science did not find this to be so until 1475. But the Bible you just read was written many centuries before that. So, Pauline, can you or can we trust the Bible?
You know, that's a really good reason why I can trust the Bible. I like that point.
There are many other reasons, but thank you very much for your time. When else I called, I would like to discuss this or answer this. What are some questions that the Bible answers?
Oh, yeah, you know what? I would really love that because I have so many questions. I'll be waiting for your phone call, please.
Thank you very much, Pauline. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sister Opara, and thank you very much, Pauline. We thank the two of you for the beautiful assignment, helping us to see that indeed God's Word, the Bible, can always be trusted. We have ample reasons to believe that. Thank you. We were watching you on enthusiasm, and this you did very well, both of you and your household. You tried to stimulate and motivate, and that's actually what is intended for this. Thank you very much. Now, the next part is going to be handled by Sister Rebecca Carrizo and Sister Naomi Okwade. Would like to listen to them. Return visit.
Naomi, the last time we talked, I promised that I would call back to answer the question, why can you trust the Bible?
Yeah, I was thinking about that question. You know, I grew up going to church and believed the Bible. But when I went to university, I met people with different opinions about the Bible. So I don't really know what to believe.
Thank you so much for expressing yourself. You know, it's true. There are so many different opinions about the Bible or about this topic. But why don't we allow the Bible to answer that question? I sent you a link to the Enjoy Life Forever brochure. Were you able to open it?
You know, I saw it but didn't get a chance to read it.
No problem. Why don't we use this brochure now along with the Bible to answer that question? In fact, if you open it up and go to lesson 3, it actually answers that question or asks that question, can you trust the Bible? And if you scroll down to point 4, it talks about science agrees with the Bible. Do you see it?
Yeah.
It says here, in ancient times, most people believed that the earth rested upon something. Could you please play that video, Naomi?
Okay.
Very good. So, what popular ideas did the Bible contradict?
Many people had mistaken ideas about the shape of the earth, and many thought animals held up the earth in space.
That's true. But let's go to the Bible and see what Moses wrote in the book of Job. And this was written some 3,500 years ago. We'll go to Job chapter 26 and verse 7. It says, He stretches out the northern sky over empty space, suspending the earth upon nothing. So, Naomi, why do you think that this question, or why is this statement that the earth is suspended upon nothing surprising?
Because it's contradicted what people believed during Moses' time.
So how do you think that Moses could write such accurate information?
Oh, I guess only because God told him to write.
Exactly. Certainly this is proof of why we can trust that the Bible is God's word and not man's. But why don't we take a minute to examine another example of science agreeing with the Bible? If we go to the same book in Job chapter 36, could you read verses 27 and 28, please?
He draws up the drops of water. They condense into rain from his mist. Then the clouds pour it down. They shower down upon mankind. This is talking about the water cycle, right?
It is. So why is this simple description of the water cycle so remarkable?
This is so amazing that someone could explain the water cycle so clearly and simply thousands of years ago, even when they didn't have the instrument, the scientific instrument we have today. Wow, I never knew the Bible had science in it. This is interesting.
It really is. But since God is the creator of the universe and the earth, don't you think that it's logical that he could inspire the Bible writers to write about what he created?
Yes, that really makes sense.
And so, Naomi, do you think that the scriptures that you just read strengthen your trust in the Bible?
Sure, it really does. It's clear only God could write those things in the Bible. It really does make me trust what the Bible says. Bible is truly a book from God.
I agree with you, and I'm so glad that you feel that way. Why don't I just take a couple more minutes of your time to just show you what more you can learn in this brochure?
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sister Carizo. Thank you so much, and thank you, Sister Kwade, for the support. We enjoyed your part. It was really very beautiful, very positive, upbuilding. Actually, that's our aim when we go out in the field. We want to believe that those who listen to us, our return visits, our Bible studies, will do what is good, come to serve Jehovah. And therefore, we need to make sure that we have injected love and warmth in the way we address them. We are actually watching you on Study 16, upbuilding and positive, and it was really good. Part of it says, let love, not irritation, motivate what you say. Smile warmly to build a rapport with your listeners. Now, it was a telephone discussion, but when you smile, it comes out in the way your voice beams, love and warmth in it. Thank you so much Thank you very much, brothers, for putting your voice together to sing praises to Jehovah. Now, I would like to enjoy a video, 2021 Governing Body Update, number 7. So let's sit back and enjoy this.
Welcome, dear brothers and sisters. I'm so happy to share with you this update. It's been amazing to see the kingdom work move ahead even during this pandemic. Various branches are reporting all-time peaks in the number of publishers, pioneers, meeting attendants, and Bible studies. Many have reported peaks in the memorial attendance. For example, the Philippines branch reported that over 739,000 attended the memorial this year. That's more than 3 times the number of publishers. 100 congregations, mostly in urban areas, reported a memorial attendance of at least 500. That means that 50,000 attended the memorial in just those 100 congregations. In various parts of the earth, many struggle to obtain food. With the assistance of hundreds of disaster relief committees, we continue to help our brothers. For example, in Venezuela, each month we are providing an average of 130 tons of food to 25,000 brothers in need. One 90-year-old pioneer sister said, "I know that the aid comes from Jehovah, but he uses brothers that I do not even know, and yet they love me and help me. Thank you, dear family. It's heartwarming to see how Jehovah is helping our brothers and sisters in Venezuela and around the globe. We thank all of you for making that possible by means of your donations. In our last governing body update, Brother Hurd mentioned that about 50% of the worldwide Bethel family have been vaccinated so far. Initially, it seemed impossible to obtain vaccines in some countries of the world, but it's been amazing to see that now more than 80% of our worldwide Bethel family, that is more than 19,000 Bethelites, are vaccinated, and we are doing what we can to assist the branch offices that have not been able to obtain vaccines. As you know, by keeping the Bethel family safe, we protect the flow of spiritual food and support spiritual activities worldwide. On behalf of the governing body, thank you, dear brothers and sisters, for your tremendous cooperation with all the arrangements during the pandemic. There have been many adjustments in a short time, but you've done so well. We truly love you for your fine spirit in working shoulder to shoulder with us. While we all have had changes in our routine, some of our circuit overseers who serve in foreign lands have had major changes. They had to return to their home countries during the pandemic. Even so, some continue to serve the congregations in their circuits via Zoom, despite being in a different country and in a different time zone. Let's hear from one.
A few months into the pandemic, my father's health was failing. So we made the decision to return to the States and assist my mother. Although in the beginning we didn't think we would be here so long, it turned out that the surge in the pandemic prevented us from going back to our assignment in the circuit in Bolivia. Well, being displaced, we just weren't sure if we were going to be able to serve and complete our assignment effectively.
We felt that we needed to make the necessary adjustments to have the right attitude. So fervent prayer really helped us to get the right mindset, and being able to see how Jehovah answered those prayers is very faith-strengthening.
Jehovah's blessing this arrangement. It's the arrangement that's been put in place, and it's what we're using. We're making the best of it, but we're having success because Jehovah's behind it. We've had brothers who are now qualified to be publishers, unbaptized publishers. There's brothers who've dedicated their lives and gotten baptized during this pandemic. One brother in particular has so much enthusiasm for phone witnessing that last month he was able to report over 100 return visits, and he was able to show over 200 videos to different ones.
One Bible student loves her study so much and also attending meetings that she's willing to walk 1 hour each way in order to have a good signal on her phone so she can tie into her study and also to the meetings.
Throughout this past year, I've learned that Jehovah has never left us. He's been in total control of every situation. He's been able to direct his organization, his people, exactly in the place that we need to be. This has all been proof that Jehovah will never abandon us.
How encouraging to hear how our brothers are remaining united and spiritually active. But we do have to continue to guard our unity. What is unity? It's been defined as oneness, a condition of harmony. Note how the Apostle Paul describes our role in maintaining unity at Ephesians chapter 4, verse 3. There we read, "Earnestly endeavoring to maintain the oneness of the Spirit in the uniting bond of peace." Note that it takes effort to maintain our unity. Paul said that we must earnestly endeavor or work hard at it. What could pose a danger to our unity? What if we became too emotionally involved in issues that are divisive? The Bible foretold at 2 Timothy chapter 3 that men would be lovers of themselves, not open to any agreement, and fierce. We see this in the world today. People are not open to any agreement. They quickly become fierce, taking strong positions on all types of issues. As Christians, we are no part of the world. We stay out of those debates. For example, who would have thought that wearing a mask to prevent the spread of disease could become an issue? From the time when we were little children, our parents taught us to cover our mouth when we coughed or sneezed. In his precious word, Jehovah outlined many practical measures that would prevent the spread of disease. So how could wearing a mask become controversial for some? Where is that thinking coming from? We have to be careful. All of us are exposed to worldly thinking on television, on the internet, at work, or at school. There are many websites that promote conspiracy theories. If we are not careful, we could become emotionally involved in these debates. We could allow ourselves to be guided by the voice of strangers instead of listening to Jehovah's channel, the faithful and discreet slave. As we face the end of this system of things, this will become more and more essential to our safety and spirituality. That's why we appreciate you, dear brothers and sisters, so much. As soon as you discern that Jehovah's Spirit is directing the governing body to go in a certain way, you are quick to follow. And as a result, we enjoy precious unity. This reminds me of the Bible example of Naaman. Through a messenger, the prophet Elisha told Naaman he'd be healed from his leprosy if he bathed 7 times in the Jordan River. How did Naaman react? Let's read together 2 Kings 5, 11 and 12. At this, Naaman became indignant and started to leave, saying, "Here I said to myself, he will come out to me and stand here and call on the name of Jehovah his God, moving his hand back and forth over the leprosy to cure it. Are not the Abana and the Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Can I not wash in them and become clean?" With that he turned and went away in a rage. Naaman had his own idea about how he was going to be cured. He felt strongly about it. But Jehovah had a different idea. To be cured, Naaman would have to humble himself and follow direction from Jehovah's channel. Naaman was struggling, but his servants got the point. What did they tell him to do? And what was the result? Let's read in verses 13 and 14. His servants now approached him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do something extraordinary, would you not do it? How much more then, since he only said to you, 'Wash and be clean'?" At that he went down and plunged into the Jordan 7 times, according to the word of the man of the true God. Then his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little boy, and he became clean. Do we get the point? Like Naaman, we might struggle a bit at times, especially if we have our own strong viewpoint. But one thing is certain. If we follow direction coming from Jehovah's channel, we will be blessed and, more important, will remain united. Of course, the devil is not happy to see this cooperation, this beautiful unity that we enjoy. So we have to be on guard so as to maintain it. This reminds me of an event in my life many years ago when this lesson was impressed on my mind. At that time, some of the brothers did become divided, and it led to so many problems. You may remember that we had a video about those events. Let's watch a clip from that video. A lot of pressure was on the brothers in Romania. The Communist Party, they tried to sow distrust among the brothers, meeting with them separately and telling some brothers one thing, telling other brothers something else. Sometimes it has happened that an official posed as an interested person and was clever enough to disguise that and pretend to make progress in the truth, not only to the point of getting baptized, but even to the point of becoming an elder. But he was in reality an agent of the secret police with the aim to find out everything about the organization. So it did lead in one case that brothers started to distrust someone that was actually appointed by headquarters. And these brothers then separated from the organization that Jehovah used. And some of them were separated for not just a few years, but for decades. And there were a large number, up to 5,000 publishers. They continued to meet together. They were preaching and using material that they had left over from earlier years, but they hardly got any new material to study because they were not in touch with the organization that was used by headquarters. Attempts to bring the brothers back into the organization were made from time to time, but it seemed that the brothers from the separated organization did not have sufficient trust. But when we presented to the leader of the separated group that one from the governing body would come, he was happy about that, and he had enough trust in that case to agree that we should have a meeting and seriously talk about reunification. And so from the separated group, there were Brother Albu, who was the leader, and 4 of his main elders. And from our side, there was Brother Jairus, our translator, and I was part of that group. Also, there were several from the country committee of Romania. I remember the first night there was a lot of accusations about what the others had done and not done, which did not create the best spirit, and we mainly listened. But everybody agreed to meet another night. And the second night, obviously, Jehovah wanted the brothers to unite again. And the whole spirit was different, and the brothers talked the matters over and clarified some misunderstandings. And at the end of the second evening, I remember, the leader of the separated group, Brother Albu, said, "Let's do it, because if we don't do it now, we may never have another opportunity again." And so the decision was made. It doesn't happen every day that 5,000 brothers come back to the organization. From then on, all the practical things were put in place to accomplish this reunification. They were asked to merge with our congregations. And that also took a lot of humility on their part, but they were willing to do it. So they were really brothers in their heart and loved the truth. And so the reunification was accomplished, and it was a wonderful victory for Jehovah and against Satan. Reflecting on the experience with the brothers in Romania, we can see there could always be misunderstandings among humans, and there could always be even legitimate complaints about misconduct of some responsible brothers. But the important thing is never to lose trust that this is Jehovah's organization. That's where Jehovah's blessing is. Jehovah sees it all. Jehovah uses his Holy Spirit to keep the organization together, and what he wants to have accomplished will happen. And if we work with the Holy Spirit, then Jehovah will bless our efforts, and it will be successful to his praise. Of course, these challenges were not unique to the brothers in Romania. Similar challenges occurred in other countries that were behind the Iron Curtain, including Czechoslovakia, Russia, and Ukraine. So, what have we learned in this update? Jehovah's organization is on the move. Even during this pandemic, we see strong evidence that Jehovah's Spirit is blessing and moving ahead the preaching and disciple-making work. Despite many challenges, you, dear brothers and sisters, are working hard to maintain our precious unity. As a result, we are enjoying a spiritual paradise as we work unitedly together. Satan will continue to try to stir up division, even among Jehovah's people. What can we do to successfully resist his efforts? Listen to the channel that Jehovah is using, the faithful and discreet slave. Don't allow yourself to become emotionally involved with the causes of this world, whatever they may be. There's no doubt that Jehovah will richly bless all those who support our King, Jesus Christ, and the channel that he's using today, the faithful and discreet slave. From the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, this is JW Broadcasting.
What a wonderful video that is. It leaves a lot for us to think about. We thank Jehovah for his loving care. Now it is time for us to enjoy our congregation Bible study for the week. I'd like to call on Brother Ilori Ogorue.
Happy to welcome you to our congregation Bible study. We're continuing from chapter 13 of our Pure Worship book with the theme Describe the Temple. We've talked about the vision that Ezekiel saw of a temple, and we've seen how this contrasts with the great spiritual temple discussed by the Apostle Paul. At the end of our study last week in paragraph 14, we were left with a question as to where our adjusted understanding leaves us. But in order to answer that question, we're going to consider, first of all, how that vision that benefited the Jews, faithful Jews back in Ezekiel's day and thereafter. So that brings us to the subheading just before paragraph 15, where it says, what did the vision mean to the Jewish exiles? In answering this question, we're going to answer a series of 3 related questions to give us a complete picture. In paragraph 15, you see the first of these questions in bold type. First, what was the overall prophetic message of the vision? Simply put, the overall message was that pure worship would be restored. And it was clear to Ezekiel. How so? Well, in the contrast between chapter 8 and then chapters 40 to 48. As we recall, in chapter 8, Ezekiel had written how deplorable the situation was in the temple in Jerusalem. Jehovah had graphically illustrated this to him. But coming to chapters 40 to 48, Ezekiel writes about pure worship restored, pure worship as it should have been, worshiping Jehovah according to the Mosaic law. This confirmed what Isaiah had foretold a century earlier. Now, because the Jews at that time had taken pure worship and brought it down to the level of false worship,
For it to be restored, it had to be elevated, raised above all the false worship and false gods of their day. Isaiah had foretold this, as we see in paragraph 16. Isaiah chapter 2 verse 2 is quoted. In the final part of the days, the mountain of the house of Jehovah will become firmly established above the top of the mountains, and it will be raised up above the hills. So we see there the elevation of Jehovah's pure worship, restoration and elevation, as if it's placed on the highest of the mountains. Now, where did Ezekiel find himself in this vision of the temple? Chapter 40 verse 2, also cited in the paragraph, shows that Ezekiel was on a very high mountain looking at the house of Jehovah. So Ezekiel's vision then confirmed, just as was foretold in Isaiah, that pure worship would be restored. You see the picture associated with paragraph 16 there. You can see that the temple that Ezekiel saw was in a lofty, elevated setting. Yes, the high mountain, way above all the false religions and false gods that the Israelites had turned to previously. But let's look at chapters 40 to 48 and just get an overview of those chapters. We're discussing paragraph 17 now. From chapters 40 to 42, we see Ezekiel. He watches as the angel measures the gates, the wall, the courtyards, and the sanctuary of the temple. Then chapters 43, 44, and 45, portions of these chapters, relate a thrilling event, Jehovah's glorious arrival at the temple. And there Jehovah gives counsel to his wayward people, to the priests, and to the chieftains. Then chapter 47 verses 1 to 12, Ezekiel sees a river flowing from the sanctuary, bringing life and blessings as it empties into the Dead Sea. And parts of chapters 45, then 47 to 48, Ezekiel saw the land itself divided into precise parcels with pure worship placed near the center of the land, so taking central position. Now, what was the overall impression that this would have given? Please look at the picture associated with this paragraph. Yes, the temple that Ezekiel saw was glorious. It showed how Jehovah would restore pure worship. So anybody visualizing this portrayal would have been reassured that pure worship would be restored and exalted. Yes, Jehovah's faithful people would have known that he would bless his house of worship with his presence, and he would make blessings flow from that temple, bringing healing, life, and order to the restored land. But now, let's take our second question. Was the vision meant to be taken literally? As paragraph 18 shows, the answer clearly is no. Why not? Several reasons. First of all, remember that Ezekiel saw this temple on a high mountain. So this vision did not fit with the physical location of the literal temple. Why not? How so? Because Solomon's temple was situated on Mount Moriah in Jerusalem. Mount Moriah is part of a mountain range, you might say. There were other mountains or other summits which were either of the same height or greater. So it didn't fit in with the picture of a location that's higher than all the other mountains around it. Secondly, the temple that Ezekiel saw was very huge. So it was too large to fit on top of literal Mount Moriah. It would not even have fitted inside the city limits of the Jerusalem of Solomon's day. Then the third reason why the Jewish exiles back then knew that it was not a literal portrayal was that they did not expect that a literal river would flow from the temple sanctuary and empty into the Dead Sea to heal the lifeless waters of the Dead Sea. And the final reason, remember, if you look at the picture, we can look at the picture we looked at earlier for paragraph 17. You notice the lines that are drawn there, showing the temple in the midst of the lines. The terrain of the promised land was such that it was not possible to have parallel lines dividing off the different tribes. So it was very clear that that temple vision was not meant to be taken literally. That brings us to our third question, which we find in paragraphs 19 to 21. What effect did Jehovah mean for this vision to have on Ezekiel's people? Well, Jehovah meant for them to contemplate his lofty standards for pure worship and for this to move them to shame. How do we know this? Please, open with me to Ezekiel chapter 43 and let us read verses 10 to 12. Ezekiel 43, 10 to 12. As for you, son of man, describe the temple to the house of Israel so that they will feel ashamed because of their errors, and they should study its plan. If they feel ashamed of all they have done, you should make known to them the ground plan of the temple, its arrangements, its exits, and its entrances. Show them all its ground plans and its statutes, its ground plans and its laws, and write them down before their eyes, so that they may observe all its ground plan and carry out its statutes. This is the law of the temple. The entire territory all around the top of the mountain is most holy. Look, this is the law of the temple. Yes, this vision was meant to make them feel ashamed of all the wrong they had done in deviating from true worship. But why might this vision have touched the conscience of right-hearted people and moved them to shame? Well, look at paragraph 20. Quoting Ezekiel 44 verse 5, Jehovah told Ezekiel to pay attention, watch and listen carefully to everything he would tell him about the statutes and the laws of the temple of Jehovah. Yes, again and again, Ezekiel heard about Jehovah's statutes and laws. And he was also often reminded about Jehovah's standards in expressions such as the standard for the length of a cubit, the standard for accurate weight. In fact, in this vision alone, Ezekiel records the words for measure and measurement over 50 times. What was the point then about weights, measurements, laws, and statutes? What was Jehovah telling the people? Well, it appears Jehovah was reminding them with powerful language of this vital truth, that Jehovah alone sets the standard for pure worship. And so those of them who had departed from those standards needed to feel ashamed. But in what precise ways, though, would the Jews have drawn these lessons from this vision? Well, we're going to find this in the following chapter. We'll consider some specific examples. But let's look at the picture that illustrates paragraphs 19 to 21, the effect of this vision on right-hearted ones. You can see them there, moved to shame over what they had done, over the condition that allowed themselves to come into. So, what a beautiful chapter. What an interesting description of the temple. We have seen the effect it will have had on the Jews in those days. What about us? Well, we'll see that next week. But let's remember some of the key points, that we took a simple approach so as to understand and explain this vision. And we saw the box that contrasted Ezekiel's temple with the great spiritual temple that Paul later described. And we saw the overall prophetic message that Jehovah would restore pure worship, as well as the vital truth that Jehovah alone sets the standard for true worship.
Thank you very much, Brother Ogorue, for that beautiful coverage. We thank Jehovah for teaching us to benefit ourselves every day. And our meeting today has been very, very nice, very nourishing to all of us. This is what we need, especially at this time. So we thank Jehovah for his blessings. We have seen why we need to be courageous today and how we can be successful in being courageous. Study God's Word, the Bible, apply what it says, and put our trust completely in our loving Father Jehovah. We have also seen that Jehovah reserves the right to set the standards for pure worship. So we want to accept everything we receive from him as things that will help us in making sure that we serve Jehovah in the acceptable way. I want to thank all of you who had passed today for the fine job. Next week, we are going to have a beautiful meeting as well. Enjoy from God's Word. For instance, we'll see how we can give Jehovah something to bless, no matter how limited our circumstances can be. We look forward to that next week. So we'd like to listen to some announcement and reminders. September 2021 for congregations. Number 1, preaching to the blind and visually impaired. Many resources are available for the blind and visually impaired. These include audio publications that can be accessed via jw.org, JW Library, Amazon Alexa, or Google Assistant. Additionally, screen reader and note taker files as well as videos with audio descriptions are available on jw.org. When a blind or visually impaired person shows interest, it is often beneficial to ask how he prefers to take in information and then assist him in locating the appropriate resource. Publishers who need assistance with the use of these resources may also call the branch and ask for the jw.org help desk. Number 2, requesting visits on jw.org. As a kind reminder, the request a visit form on jw.org is to be filled out by interested persons and not by publishers in behalf of others. Problems can result when a publisher uses the form to make arrangements for a relative or others to be contacted by one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Number 3, enjoy life forever. Beginning the week of April 25, 2022, the Enjoy Life Forever book will be considered a congregation Bible study. Many publishers will be able to use the digital format, which contains interactive features not included in the printed publication. However, if you need a printed copy, please inform the literature servant at the end of this meeting. Number 4, 2022 Regional Convention. Because of the uncertainties of safety holding large gatherings in 2022, direction regarding the arrangements for the regional convention will be provided at a later time. Number 5, using Enjoy Life Forever in the ministry. In the near future, the elders will distribute to all publishers a new document entitled Using Enjoy Life Forever in the Ministry, S-196. The document addresses such questions as the following. Where in the Enjoy Life Forever book should I begin when transferring a student from another publication? How should I proceed if someone's initial interest involves a topic that is not covered in the brochure? How should I use the Explore section in each lesson? What should I do if I am not able to access the videos in the publication? What are some practical suggestions for conducting a Bible study by video conference or telephone? The document also includes references that provide more information regarding the use of the Enjoy Life Forever publications. We encourage you to review Using Enjoy Life Forever in the Ministry as soon as you receive your copy. These are just a few of the announcements we have for our meeting for today. So we want to thank everybody for being present. Now I would like to formally close our meeting for today.